We're here to talk through this Yajilin by Grant. It has a theme that will arise sort of midway through the solve. Like a lot of Yajilin, I'm just going to go through quickly and mark all the 0 cells and then start to mark off other clues as I can. It's sometimes helpful to just look through rows when you see a clue going. In that case, we had 2 clues that were the same, pointing in the same direction. It's going to lead to a forced scenario of 3 cells and lots of empties. You have a case like this. We've marked off this. We now have a space. Getting used to looking, and this is particularly true of Nicoli puzzles and also Grant puzzles. Grant tries to emulate their style. We'll often get things like 5 cells for 3 blocks, or I even see here 7 cells for 4 blocks. So lots of forced shading even with large clue digits. When I'm doing this, I'm looking for all the channels where flow is going to be forced. When that happens, you get this kind of cornering around the black cells, which let things happen much faster. Here's another 3 that can be put in pretty fast. It also has this kind of cornering you get here. And here we get the start of the theme of the puzzle, which is about not closing the loop too soon. So here we have 2 ends of the loop very close together. This and this can't join, so you're going to keep dodging each other for a while. Get again a situation where they have to keep dodging. Get over to here, have to keep dodging. As we work through this, we have a 2 cell. There's a thing that comes up in loop puzzles all the time, but we have kind of enclosed this region. We want to know if this loop end comes in or out, so what we do is just count the loop ends. This is an even number of ends, so we don't need any more. If it were odd, this would have come up, but since it's even, it goes down. We also know that this end and this end won't touch, so these 2 ends, one of them is going to have to come up to here and one to there, or you're not going to get a single loop. We have some work to do over on this side. We have another small loop forming. These ends can't come together. We're going to have to watch out for that as we go along. Get, again, some pretty fast cornering here. These loop ends are staying separate. As we go through this, we have 1 cell here already. We have one of these cells will form a blackened cell, so I'll just mark it this way. We should recognize that we have a kind of mini loop here and a mini loop here, but these have to connect to the end of the grid. So to get to the rest of the grid, we're going to need chutes to connect in here. We can also then eventually see that these ends can't come together. This end is going to play with the loop. We have an either-or scenario now with this cell. If it's shaded below, it's going to force this together and you can't get into that cell. So it's like this. And now you should see that these ends are of the same part of the loop, so they won't come and touch. We have the same situation. These are part of the loop and don't want to touch. You have to fulfill this clue. So you get something like this. We're now in another situation. If we look at this end of the grid, the whole end of the loop is coming to here. We need to have 2 ends of the loop continuing, so we can already direct this one right to the right just by knowing we're making a single loop. Get some closure like this. Shade in this clue. The 2 down is now easy. It was hard until this moment, but it finally becomes pretty obvious. These ends still want to avoid. We now have these ends that want to avoid each other, so they're going to come like this. We have a 3 that needs still 1 more box. It can't be here. I would isolate this cell, so it's going to be there. Again, this loop doesn't want to come together too soon. It's going to look like this. We have, looks like 2 clues still to spend, nothing else pointing this direction, so this 1 up and this 1 across. One thing to notice is in this cell, this would have this loop close off too soon. so it's not here. If it were in this cell, we might still be okay, but we have to be a little careful. What we can recognize to help ourselves out is to see that right now in this area we have again a set of ends, but these two are the ones that come in and out of this region. These themselves won't get in and out, so these two can't touch. And knowing that, we get to this obvious deduction. You know, that's the end of the loop, and we come up and finish. So, you know, it's not it's with a lot of Grant's puzzles, it's larger, not necessarily harder, but this one has a real nice showcase of keeping the loop separate over time and having examples of channels like here where there's really just one way you can get two open paths to continue, so that you don't shut off a loop but ultimately connect with the rest of the grid. So coming through here, and then coming up and into here were some slightly different techniques that are good to learn. Hope you enjoyed the puzzle, and we'll see you again soon.